Hello, my honeys. It is Emmie. Welcome to the channel. If I sound a little bit sick today, it is because I'm sick.
I'm sick.
No, really, I am sick though, and I'm kind of digging the voice that comes with it. Everybody loves when their voice is a little bit raspy. No, just me. Anyway, as my mom once said, and always says whenever I get sick, even the Pope gets sick. I hate being sick. In fact, the last time I was sick was when I was living in Australia, which means I haven't been sick since 2018. And here I am sick. Ain't nobody got time for that. But it's a really good opportunity for me to share what I eat when I'm sick and what you can do if you're sick. And if you're watching this video and you're feeling sick right now, I'm so sorry. Rest up, get better, and let's get into it. So starting out with what I had, I woke up on this day and I was like, today is not it. I'm not feeling it. This is a few days ago. And I just didn't want to put really much of anything in my body. But when you're sick, your body is actually working harder to try to get you to recover. So although you might not feel like you want to eat, it is important to make sure that you're still getting in fluids and still getting in some foods so that you can give your body what it needs to recover. You might find that your digestion turns down a little bit when you're sick, and this is normal. This is the body's way of conserving calories that it thinks don't really matter right now and putting energy toward the things that do matter, like healing and repairing and fighting off whatever virus, bacteria, illness you have right now. So I started off the day with a big bowl of fruit. And the reason why I did this was because I knew that I was not going to want to drink as much as I needed to that day. I was feeling a little bit nauseous, and the thought of really putting anything into my body was like, But what's fantastic about fruit is it gives you the hydration as well as all the vitamins, the minerals, the antioxidants. So when you're sick, I highly recommend getting in fruit as a way to keep you hydrated, because I know what it's like when you're sick. You just don't want to put much of anything in your body. So fruit is a great way to keep you hydrated and to get those antioxidants to help fight off whatever illness it is that you're currently fighting. Now, as for the fruits that I actually chose to consume, I made sure to get a combination of hand-to-mouth foods and then also a great food to have when you're sick, which is pineapple. But I started out with red grapes because I know, your girl loves red grapes. I can never go wrong with red grapes. They're basically my blood type at this point. And what's great about red grapes, if you are trying to get in food, if you need to get some nourishment in, is that grapes are a hand-to-mouth food and you can just pop them in your mouth. So I know that I love grapes. They're an easy hand-to-mouth food. You wash them and they're done. So you can get them in, get in that sugar, get in that hydration to get you to start to feel better. And once I got those red grapes in, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start to feel better for today. Let's say you don't really like, if you're not a huge fruit person and you're sick, don't force yourself to have fruit. You want to eat foods that you actually enjoy to stimulate your appetite. And I know that I love red grapes and I could eat red grapes for the day as long. So this is a great way to get me boosted up and to get my blood sugar high and to get me going. So I'm like, all right, I got things to do today. You bet your bottom dollar I was working while I was sick. The next fruit that you see in here is figs. Figs are the best, just first and foremost, but why they're particularly good if you're feeling sick is that figs contain calcium and potassium. These are both electrolytes, and when you're sick, you're likely to get dehydrated, and your electrolytes are going to be feeling low. This is why people are always giving Gatorade to people that are feeling sick and dehydrated, because it has those electrolytes. So figs are an awesome source of calcium and potassium to get those electrolytes in, because you're likely probably going to get dehydrated. Especially if you have a stomach bug, which I didn't have in this case and I don't have at the moment. I just, you can hear something's going on with me. And if I did have a stomach bug, then having the figs would be great because of this reason, that it's going to replenish those electrolytes that you would lose through fluid from whatever way it's coming out. And then I had some pineapple, and pineapple contains bromelain, and bromelain is an enzyme that is going to fight off viral infections. It's anti-inflammatory as well, and when you're sick, you have a big inflammation response. This is why you just feel awful when you're sick, because your body is so inflamed. And then when you're, if you get prescribed something like steroids, if you're very, very sick, you start to feel better immediately because it brings down that inflammation. Now, pineapple contains bromelain, so it's going to help bring down that inflammation just from the food itself. And it's also super hydrating. It's sweet. It's a great, great thing to have if you are feeling sick. All right, and now moving on to lunch. My voice is cracking because something, whatever. But I've been on a big soup kick lately. Now, this soup that you are seeing is the Trader Joe's organic split pea soup. Now, my significant other actually, bless his heart, brought me this soup the night before. And by the grace of God, it is totally healthy and something that's going to be a regular part of my repertoire now. So I had the Trader Joe's organic split pea soup, and then I also had 2 different types of bread with it. In the past, you may have heard of the brat diet. The brat diet is what people are recommended to have if they're feeling sick because these foods are very bland, they're easy to digest, and it consists of bananas, rice, applesauce, toast, and tea. And so the bread kind of falls into the toast category. But bread with soup is just so good. It's a nice, comforting thing to eat, and it's something that you can consume without having many repercussions of all the different flavors. It's very easy to digest. It's bland. It's something that you can get in. It's easy to chew, swallow, because if your throat's not feeling good and you don't want to chew too much, soup and bread is a great thing to have. It goes down very easily. And if you're feeling nauseous as well, it's already it's so easy to digest. The soup has been blended. The bread is easy to digest so that you won't have any digestive issues. And it's a great comforting thing to eat when you're not feeling so good. Another thing is that warm soup can help open up the sinuses. So if I were to take this to the next level, what I actually would have done was probably taken some ginger and put that into the soup, but I was just fine with my split pea soup. And what's also great about soups like split pea soup or lentil soup is you're packing in tons of nutrition. Peas and lentils, these are packed with protein, and there's tons of vegetables that you can sneak in here when making these soups. So you can go the lazy way, which is how I did it, through the Trader Joe's organic split pea soup, which is definitely going to be a regular part of my rotation now. Or if you have an incredible significant other or mother or friend, whoever's going to make you soup, then you can go with that. Or if you are Superman or Superwoman, you can make your own soup. But this Trader Joe's soup is $1.99 for this entire thing, and I had the whole thing with these 2 slices of bread. So the bread that I had, one of them is the Trader Joe's whole wheat sourdough, which now I've reawakened my love for bread, and bread is going to be a regular part of my consumption now because I'm like, oh wow, I forgot how good this stuff is. So I had the Trader Joe's sourdough bread, and then I had my significant other bought these little mini baguettes from Trader Joe's, and both of these, they're totally vegan. There's no oil added to them. They're great ingredients, and so I might just make these a regular part of my repertoire as well. So this is what I had for the next meal. And then moving into the afternoon, I had some oatmeal, and oatmeal is a great thing to have if you're feeling sick for 2 reasons. The first is the beta glucan in the oats that you may have heard me talk about before can actually help decrease inflammation in the gut. So if your stomach is feeling a little bit off and perhaps you have some sort of stomach bug, something's going on down there, oats are a great way to quote unquote neutralize whatever it is that's going on in your gut that's making you feel not so good. The other thing that's great about oats is that they're bland, they're easy to chew, and just something that you can sort of get down without too much stimulation. You hear about people eating crackers when they're not feeling so good, just because when you're sick, the thought of food sort of skeeves you out a little bit, and that's the body's way of trying to discourage you from eating so that it can put all of its calories and all of its energy toward healing. But of course, you do need to eat. We have to eat a little bit. We're not on death's door here. Well, I'm not, at least. So I had this oatmeal with banana, ground flaxseed, and cinnamon, which is one of my go-tos, and it's so great to know that something that I have on the regular is something that's reliable to have when I'm sick as well. And then moving on to dinner, if I had it my way, I would have had soup again, but I was all out of soup, so I had to make do with what I had, and I didn't want to go anywhere either. I really was not feeling well. I didn't even want to drive. I was kind of nervous about driving, and you all know that I love my Amazon Whole Foods, but it takes them a few hours, and So I ended up having just plain air fried potatoes. And if you don't have an air fryer, or if even this seems like a little bit too much to you when you're sick, then I would recommend going for mashed potatoes. And you can take a traditional mashed potatoes recipe. It's so easy to make mashed potatoes. You boil the potatoes, mash the potatoes. You can add in some almond milk or some soy milk, any kind of plant milk. If you really want something creamy, you could add in some coconut milk. It is a little bit higher in fat and saturated fat particularly, so I do tend to recommend staying away from coconut milk, but any type of milk, or you can use some veggie broth, or you could even use some water if you don't have any of that, and then add in some garlic powder, a little bit of salt, some pepper, some onion powder, maybe some nutritional yeast to spice it up a little bit, and that's a fabulous thing to have. Potatoes contain basically everything that you need to survive, with the exception of vitamin D and vitamin B12. So you could have a bunch of potatoes and you could be covered with pretty much all of your needs from a nutritional standpoint. You'd amaze yourself if you go into chronometer, whatever people are calling it these days, and you put in like 3,000 calories worth of potatoes, you'd be really surprised that you are hitting every single one of those markers. So believe it or not, a big meal of potatoes is a pretty complete and nutritious meal. And when you're sick and you just want something bland and the thought of food is just skeeving you out, as it was for me on this day, it was so good to know that I could rely on trusty potatoes that have everything that I need during a time like this when I'm just like really not feeling like eating. And then I did not videotape it, but I had some grapes after I had my potatoes. I'm thinking about doing a video, by the way, that's it for this video. I'm thinking about doing a video about healthy breads. What do you think? Should I do it? Because now that I've reintroduced bread and I just love bread, I'm thinking about doing healthy store-bought breads so that if you are looking for breads, I can give you a whole list of ones that you can choose from. So the comment of the day, I want you to comment bread if you want this video and if you've watched it to the end of the video so that I know you're one of my homies. I love you, honeys. I hope that you are well when you are watching this video. And if you're not, hey, we're going through it together. And as my mom says, even the Pope gets sick. It happens to the best of us. I love you, honeys, and I'll see you in my next one.